When Kavi was a young girl, she would sit by her windowsill, looking out at her garden, dreaming of climbing the big Magnolia tree. She would picture herself gliding across the branches like a snake till she reached the topmost peak. Then she would gently pluck out the prettiest flower to put in her hair and dance around like a true queen. But each time she went into the garden, ready to climb up the beast, they would come out shaking their heads and clicking their tongues and say, "Little girls should not be climbing up trees. Go inside and play with your dolls, little one. Or better yet, help your mother cook and clean." Disappointed, Kavi would go inside, waiting to grow up and be free. But when she did grow up, at the age of 16, her father didn't know what to do with a young girl who would sit by her window and dream. So he married her off to the old bum who lived across the street. Before Kavi could even bemoan her fate, she was riddled with babies 1, 2, and 3. As if life hadn't been unkind enough, after the birth of her third child, her husband suddenly decided to leave. He left her for his old mistress, but they still shook their heads and clicked their tongues and said, "It must be Kavi's fault, for she never learned how to cook and clean." Now left all alone with 3 little ones he didn't wish to keep, Kavi stayed up all night, learning to stitch and sew, with little food and no sleep. Finally, with the beautiful clothes she learned to make, she decided to go and sell them at the marketplace. But when she arrived at the market, they shook their heads and clicked their tongues and said, she must try something new. Running a clothing business requires talent possessed by only the special few. Still, she kept on trying until she did succeed in not only selling the clothes she had sewn, but raising the 3 little ones all on her own. Now years later, left with grey hair and dark circles so deep, the 3 kids out of the house, Kavi's just glad she's finally free. So she thinks now it's time to shop for herself and do as she pleases. But when she goes shopping, they shake their heads and click their tongues and say, "All these fancy clothes and expensive jewelry, why does an old woman like her need?" At this age, she must only remember God and learn to curb her greed. But for so long, they have shaken their heads at Kavi, pointing out her every flaw, telling her what she should and shouldn't do. That Kavi no longer cares. So every morning, she buys herself the prettiest magnolia flowers and adorns her hair. Then, dressed in the finest silk, she stands in front of the mirror and beams. She does it all for that little girl who never got to climb the magnolia tree.